3 months after the demonstration, Nexus Point Station had changed in ways both small and large. Hyunwoo noticed it every day, the way aliens no longer scattered when he walked through the corridors with Komi, the way some even stopped to ask questions or request pictures. The fear had not completely disappeared, but it had transformed into something else. Curiosity, wonder, respect. Komi had grown into her full size now. She stood as tall as Hyunwoo's shoulder when on all fours, a magnificent creature of scales and muscle and sharp edges. Her golden eyes still held that same intelligence, that same trust she had shown from the beginning. But now she moved with confidence, comfortable in her home on the station. Hyunwoo's role had evolved too. He was no longer just a cargo handler. His official title was now Interspecies Behavioral Specialist, a position that had not existed before he arrived. His days were filled with consultations, training sessions, and video conferences with researchers from across the galaxy. Dr. Kara had become his partner in this work. Her scientific expertise combined with his practical experience created something new. They were writing papers together, developing training protocols, teaching others what humanity had learned over thousands of years of living alongside predators. "We have another request," Dr. Kara said one morning, her data pad displaying a long list of messages. A Velkan agricultural colony is having trouble with native fauna destroying crops. They want to know if the creatures can be trained to avoid certain areas instead of being exterminated. "What kind of creatures?" Hyunwoo asked. "Herbivores, actually. Large ones. About the size of your Earth elephants." Hyunwoo smiled. "Tell them yes. That's actually easier than what we've been doing with Komi." Dayun had become essential to their work as well. She designed and built equipment that made training safer and more effective. Enrichment structures, communication devices, even protective gear for people learning to work with dangerous animals. Her engineering skills turned theoretical ideas into practical tools. Jiho documented everything. His videos had become popular across multiple systems, not just as entertainment but as educational material. Universities used them. Research institutions studied them. Some people just watched them to see the impossible made real. One afternoon, Commander Velik summoned Hyunwoo to the command center. The Thrin officer had a holographic display showing a distant solar system. "We have a situation," Velik said without preamble. "A mining colony on the frontier. They've encountered aggressive fauna that's disrupting operations. Several miners have been killed. The colonists are preparing to exterminate the entire population of creatures in the area." "What kind of creatures?" Hyunwoo asked, studying the display. "Pack hunters. Wolf analogs, we think. They call them Vorash. The miners' expansion into the territory has triggered defensive responses. The company that owns the colony wants a quick solution. That usually means elimination. Or it means understanding why they're attacking," Hyunwoo suggested. "That's why I'm offering you the assignment," Velik said. "If anyone can find a nonviolent solution, it's you. But this is more dangerous than working with Komi. These are wild creatures in their natural habitat. Multiple individuals working together. It's not the same as training a single animal in a controlled environment." Hyunwoo thought about it. He thought about those miners scared and angry. He thought about the Vorash, defending their territory the only way they knew how. He thought about the inevitable conclusion if nobody intervened. "I'll need my team," he said. "Dayun, Jiho, and Dr. Kara, and I want to bring Komi." "The Rakthar? Why?" "Because the Vorash might respond to another predator differently than they respond to prey. Komi might help me communicate." Velik considered this, approved. "But be careful. The colony is remote, and help will be hours away if something goes wrong." 5 days later, Hyunwoo stood on the surface of a frontier world, watching the forest that surrounded the mining colony. The trees were strange colors, purple and orange instead of Earth's green. The air smelled different, tasted different, but the situation was familiar. "The Vorash dens are approximately 2 kilometers into the forest," the colony manager said, pointing. "We've tried barriers, but they find ways through. We've tried deterrents, but they keep coming. They're smart and persistent." "Because you're in their territory," Hyunwoo said, studying the forest edge. "They're not attacking. They're defending." "Tell that to the families of the miners who died," the manager replied bitterly. "I'm not saying the miners deserved it," Hyunwoo clarified. "I'm saying the Vorash are acting on instinct. If we understand that instinct, we can find a solution that doesn't require killing them all." He spent 3 days just observing, setting up remote cameras, watching the Varash from a safe distance, learning their patterns. Daehyun helped him identify den locations and travel routes. Jiho documented everything. Dr. Kara analyzed the footage, comparing Vorash behavior to known pack predator patterns from other worlds. They're remarkably similar to Earth wolves, Dr. Kara noted. Pack structure, territorial behavior, communication through vocalizations and body language. If we apply human knowledge of wolf behavior, we might be able to predict their responses. On the fourth day, Hyunwoo made his first direct approach. He brought Komi with him, the Rakthar walking calmly at his side. They approached one of the Vorash observation posts slowly, carefully, making no aggressive moves. The Vorash saw them. 3 adults emerged from the trees, forming a defensive line. They were beautiful creatures covered in fur that shifted between gray and blue. Their eyes were silver, intelligent and watchful. They were smaller than Komi, but moved with coordinated precision that spoke of pack tactics. The lead Vorash growled, a warning sound. Hyunwoo stopped immediately. He crouched down, making himself smaller, less threatening. Beside him, Komi sat without being told, watching the Vorash with interest but no aggression. "Easy," Hyunwoo said softly, not really expecting the Vorash to understand the word but hoping his tone would communicate his intentions. He reached into his pack slowly and pulled out food. Fresh meat from the colony's supplies. He placed it on the ground and backed away, maintaining eye contact but not staring directly at any one Vorash. Non-threatening interest. The Vorash watched. One sniffed the air. After several long minutes, the lead Vorash approached cautiously and took the meat. It retreated to its pack members and they shared the food while watching Hyunwoo and Komi. "Good start," Daeun said through his earpiece. She was watching from a safe distance with monitoring equipment. "Very good," Dr. Kara agreed. They accepted the offering without attacking. That's communication. Hyunwoo returned to the same spot every day for the next week. Each time he brought food. Each time the Vorash grew slightly less wary. He never tried to touch them or move too close. He respected their space, their boundaries. He let them set the pace. On the 8th day, something changed. The lead Vorash approached before Hyunwoo put down the food. It stopped just a few meters away, studying him with those silver eyes. Then it did something unexpected. It made a sound soft and questioning. Hyunwoo mimicked the sound back. Not perfectly, but close enough. The Vorash's ears perked up. It made the sound again. Hyunwoo repeated it. "You're communicating," Dr. Kara breathed through the earpiece. Over the next few days, Hyunwoo learned more Vorash vocalizations. He learned the difference between warning sounds and greeting sounds. He learned how they used body language to establish dominance and submission. He learned where their den sites were and how to avoid threatening them. With this knowledge, he worked with the mining colony to establish new protocols. Boundaries that respected Vorash territory. Warning systems that used sounds the Vorash recognized as non-threatening. Changes to work schedules that avoided peak Vorash activity times. The attack stopped. Not immediately, but gradually. The Vorash learned that the miners were no longer a threat. The miners learned to coexist with the pack instead of fighting them. On his last day on the frontier world, Hyunwoo stood at the forest edge one final time. The lead Vorash appeared, as it had every day for the past week. But this time it approached closer than ever before. Close enough that Hyunwoo could have reached out and touched it. He didn't. He stayed still, letting the Vorash make the choice. The creature sniffed his outstretched hand, just as Komi had done 3 months ago in that cargo bay. Then it touched its nose to his palm, a gesture that seemed universal across predator species. Acknowledgement, recognition, maybe even respect. The Vorash turned and disappeared into the forest. Hyunwoo watched it go, feeling something profound settle in his chest. Hope. Back on Nexus Point, Commander Velik met them at the docking bay. The mining colony reports complete cessation of hostile encounters. "They're calling you a miracle worker." "I'm not," Hyunwoo said simply. "I just listened and tried to understand." "That's the miracle," Velik replied. "Most species see predators as problems to be eliminated. Humans see them as beings to be understood. That perspective is changing how the entire galaxy thinks about fauna management." That evening, Hyunwoo received a formal proposition from Commander Velik. Establish a permanent interspecies behavioral program on Nexus Point. Train others in these methods. serve as consultants across the galaxy. The alarm started screaming at exactly 14:37 station time. Hyunwoo barely had time to look up from his datapad before the red emergency lights flooded the cargo bay. He had been checking inventory numbers, the same boring task he did every day on Nexus Point Station. Now his heart hammered in his chest as the warning sirens wailed. Containment breach in Bay 7. All personnel evacuate immediately. The automated voice echoed through the massive loading dock. Around him, aliens scattered in every direction. The insectoid Velkan workers dropped their equipment and ran on their 6 legs. The tall, crystalline Thrin supervisors rushed toward the exits, their bodies catching the red emergency lights and throwing strange shadows across the metal walls. Hyunwoo stood still for a moment, trying to understand what was happening. Bay 7 was only 3 sections away from where he stood. Close, too close. He grabbed his emergency kit from his belt and started moving toward the commotion instead of away from it. Maybe someone needed help. Maybe he could do something. Human. Wrong direction, shouted Boric, one of the Velkan crew chiefs, as he skittered past. Dangerous predator loose. But Hyunwoo kept moving forward. He could hear the chaos now, screaming, things crashing, the heavy footsteps of security teams in their armored suits. He turned the corner and entered Bay 7. The scene looked like a disaster. A large transport container lay on its side, split open like someone had peeled it apart. Pieces of the metal casing scattered across the floor. The security team stood in a half circle, their weapons raised but not firing. They looked terrified. In the center of it all, a creature stood on 4 legs. It was about the size of a large dog, maybe a bit bigger. Its body was covered in dark scales that shimmered between black and deep purple. Sharp claws dug into the metal floor, leaving scratches with each small movement. Its head was broad with a powerful jaw, and Hyunwoo could see rows of sharp teeth when it opened its mouth to growl. The ears, or what looked like ears, pressed flat against its skull. A long tail whipped back and forth behind it. Rakthar juvenile, someone whispered nearby. Grade 5 predator. Lethal even at this age. The creature growled again, deeper this time. It turned its head, looking at each of the security officers. Its eyes were large and golden with vertical slits for pupils. Those eyes showed something Hyunwoo recognized immediately. Not rage, not bloodlust, fear. The creature was terrified. Taking the shot, one security officer said, his weapon powering up with a high whine. Wait, Hyunwoo said, stepping forward. Are you insane? The security chief, a massive Krolath warrior named Boran, grabbed Hyunwoo's shoulder. That thing will tear you apart. Hyunwoo gently removed the large alien's hand from his shoulder. Look at it. Really look. I see a predator ready to kill, Boran growled. I see a scared baby, Hyunwoo replied. He moved past the security line before anyone could stop him. The creature's head snapped toward him immediately. Its lips pulled back, showing even more teeth. The growl turned into something higher, more desperate. Its whole body trembled. Hyunwoo had seen this exact behavior before, when his neighbor's dog got lost and trapped in a storm drain, when the cat at the shelter backed into a corner, hissing at everyone who tried to help. When the injured bird his sister found kept trying to bite despite its broken wing, fear wearing the mask of aggression. He stopped walking forward and slowly crouched down. He made himself smaller, less threatening. He kept his hands visible and open. No sudden movements. Nothing that could be seen as an attack. Behind him he heard weapons powering up. Someone was shouting for him to get back. He ignored them all. Instead, Hyunwoo did something his grandmother had taught him when he was young. He whistled. A soft, gentle melody. An old song from Earth, one his grandmother sang when she worked in her garden. Simple notes that rose and fell like a quiet conversation. The creature stopped growling. Its ears, those strange pointed structures, lifted slightly from their flattened position. The golden eyes blinked. Hyunwoo kept whistling. He stayed crouched, staying small and non-threatening. He let the melody carry across the space between them. He didn't stare directly at the creature. Instead, he looked slightly to the side, another thing he learned from working with scared animals. Direct eye contact meant challenge or threat. The Rakthar took one step forward, then another. Its claws clicked on the metal floor. The tail still moved, but slower now, less frantic. It stretched its neck forward, sniffing the air between them. Hyunwoo kept perfectly still. He kept whistling soft and low. His heart pounded so hard he thought everyone in the bay could hear it. But his hands didn't shake. His voice didn't waver. The creature came closer. Close enough to touch now. It sniffed his outstretched hand, its wet nose touching his skin for just a moment. Then, in a movement that made everyone watching gasp, it pressed its head against his leg. Hyunwoo slowly, carefully, moved his hand to the creature's head. He found a spot just behind where its ears attached and gently scratched. The Rakthar made a sound, not a growl, something deeper rumbling from its chest, almost like a purr. The creature leaned into his touch, pressing more of its weight against his leg. The trembling stopped. The tension drained from its muscles. It looked up at him with those golden eyes, and Hyunwoo saw the fear fade away, replaced by something else. Curiosity, maybe even trust. The entire cargo bay had gone silent. Not a single sound except for the distant hum of the station's engines and the soft rumbling coming from the Rakthar. Hyunwoo kept scratching behind its ears. "Good," he whispered. "You're okay. Nobody's going to hurt you." The creature's tail moved again, but this time it wasn't aggressive. It swayed slowly back and forth, almost happy. "Impossible," someone breathed. "Get a medical team," Boren said quietly, his voice filled with shock. "And somebody contact Commander Velik. He needs to see this." "See what?" Another voice asked. "That a human just befriended a grade 5 predator?" "That a human just did something that should be scientifically impossible," Boren corrected. Hyunwoo didn't pay attention to the conversations around him. He focused on the creature beside him, this scared baby that everyone else saw as a monster. He kept his movements slow and gentle. He kept his voice soft. And he wondered how something so dangerous could feel so much like every frightened animal he had ever helped back on Earth. The Rakthar pressed closer, seeking comfort. Hyunwoo gave it without hesitation. Around them, the station's security forces lowered their weapons one by one. They all stared at the impossible scene before them. A human and a predator sitting together in the wreckage of a cargo bay, one offering comfort, one accepting it. Both completely calm in a moment that should have ended in blood and death. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They all just watched as Hyunwoo continued to whistle his grandmother's old song, and the Rakthar continued to rumble its strange, contented purr, the sound of two different worlds finding unexpected common ground in the cold metal corridors of a space station, far from either of their homes. The command center of Nexus Point Station looked different at night. The main lights dimmed to save power, leaving only the glow of computer screens and holographic displays. Hyunwoo sat in an uncomfortable chair, surrounded by aliens who still looked at him like he had grown a second head. Commander Velik stood at the head of the table. The Thryn officer's crystalline body reflected the blue light from the displays, creating patterns on the walls. His face, if you could call it a face, showed no emotion, but his voice carried weight when he spoke. "Explain what happened in Bay 7. Hyunwoo took a breath. The creature was scared. I calmed it down. "You calmed down a Rakthar," Dr. Kara said from across the table. The Velkan scientist's multiple eyes all focused on him at once. "Do you understand how impossible that sounds?" "I've seen scared animals before," Hyunwoo replied. "It wasn't that different." Boren, the security chief, made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Not that different? Human, that creature could have killed you in seconds. Rakthar are apex predators. They have no natural enemies on their home world. They hunt in complete darkness using senses we barely understand. Even the juveniles are rated as grade 5 threats." "It was just a baby," Hyunwoo said quietly. "A baby that has killed 3 trained handlers," Dr. Kara added, pulling up files on the holographic display. "This particular Rakthar was being transported to our research facility. During the journey, it escaped its initial containment twice. 3 crew members died trying to recapture it. That baby, as you call it, is responsible for multiple deaths." Hyunwoo felt cold. He hadn't known that. He looked at the files floating in the air. Pictures of the crew members. Reports of the attacks. But something didn't match up in his mind. "Were they hurting it?" he asked. "What?" Commander Velik leaned forward. "The handlers who died, were they trying to hurt the creature, using pain to control it?" Dr. Kara's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. "Standard containment protocols for dangerous fauna include shock prods, neural suppressors, and physical restraints. These are necessary measures for—" "You were torturing it," Hyunwoo said, his voice harder now. No wonder it fought back. "We were following proper safety procedures," Dr. Kara insisted. "Procedures developed over thousands of years of galactic fauna management." "Maybe your procedures are wrong," Hyunwoo shot back. The room went quiet. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Finally, Commander Velik broke the silence. "Show us," he said. "Show us how humans interact with predators on your world." Hyunwoo pulled out his personal datapad. He connected it to the command center's system and started pulling up files from Earth's databases. The first image appeared in the holographic display. A human child, maybe 5 years old, sleeping peacefully next to a massive dog. The dog's head was bigger than the child's entire torso. Every alien in the room tensed. "That's a wolf variant," Hyunwoo explained. "We call them dogs. Humans domesticated them thousands of years ago. Now they live in our homes. They protect our children. They're part of our families." He pulled up another image. A human swimming in open water, surrounded by massive creatures with rows of sharp teeth. These are sharks, ocean predators. Some humans study them. Some even swim with them for fun. Another image. A human standing next to a creature that looked like a mix between a cat and a small truck, all muscle and fangs. The human was scratching its head. "Big cats. Lions, tigers, leopards. Yes, they're dangerous. Yes, they can kill us. But some humans work with them, help them, even form bonds with them." Dr. Kara was leaning forward now, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shock. "This is real? Not fabricated?" "All real," Hyunwoo confirmed. "On Earth, humans live alongside hundreds of predator species. We've domesticated some. We study others. We share our world with creatures that could easily kill us, and we've learned to coexist." "How?" Boren asked, his voice actually showing interest now. "How does a species survive long enough to develop intelligence while surrounded by so many apex predators?" "We learned to understand them," Hyunwoo said. "We learned their body language, their sounds, their needs. We learned that most predators don't want to fight. Fighting risks injury, and injury means death in the wild. Most predators would rather avoid conflict if possible." He pulled up a video, a human approaching a large bear in the wilderness. The bear stood on its back legs roaring. The human stopped, backed away slowly, speaking in soft tones. The bear dropped to all fours and walked away. "No fight, no death. Reading behavior," Hyunwoo continued. "Understanding fear versus aggression. Knowing when to advance and when to retreat. These are skills humans develop from childhood because we have to. Our world demanded it." Commander Velik studied the images floating in the air. "Your planet is truly a death world." "We call it home," Hyunwoo replied simply. Dr. Kara was already typing notes into her datapad. "This changes everything we know about predator psychology. If what you're showing us is accurate, then our entire approach to dangerous fauna management might be fundamentally flawed." "What happens to the Rakthar now?" Hyunwoo asked. "To the one in Bay 7? The command center grew quiet again. Commander Velik exchanged looks with Dr. Kara and Boren. Finally, he spoke. "Protocol says it should be euthanized. It's killed sentient beings. It's proven too dangerous for normal containment, but, Hyunwoo prompted. "But you created a situation we've never encountered before," Velik continued. "The creature is completely calm in your presence. When we tried to separate you for this meeting, it became violent again. It refuses to eat unless you're nearby. According to every scientific model we have, this should be impossible. Rakthar do not form attachments. They do not bond with other species. They certainly do not bond with prey-sized creatures. Maybe your scientific models are incomplete," Hyunwoo suggested. Dr. Kara looked up from her datapad. "I want to study this. I want to understand how you're doing this. Commander, if we euthanize the creature now, we lose an unprecedented opportunity to learn about cross-species behavioral dynamics. It's also an unprecedented risk," Boren countered. "If the human loses control, if the creature attacks again, more people could die." "I won't lose control," Hyunwoo said firmly. "And the Rakthar won't attack if it's not threatened or afraid." "You can't guarantee that," Boren argued. "No," Hyunwoo admitted. "But I can try. Give me a chance. Give the creature a chance." Commander Velik was silent for a long time. His crystalline fingers drummed on the table, making small clicking sounds. Finally, he reached a decision. "Temporary arrangement," he said. "The Rakthar, which our research team has designated as Komi, will remain in a reinforced habitat in the cargo wing. You, Hyunwoo, will be assigned as its primary handler. You will be monitored at all times. Any sign of aggression, any indication that you cannot maintain control, and the creature will be terminated immediately. Do you understand?" "I understand," Hyunwoo said. "Thank you." Don't thank me yet, Velik replied. You're about to become the most watched person on this station. Every scientist, every security officer, every council member will be scrutinizing your every move. If this works, you might revolutionize how we think about interspecies relations. If it fails, people will die, possibly including you. I know, Hyunwoo said quietly. Dr. Kara stood up. I'll begin preparing observation protocols immediately. This is going to be fascinating. Boren just shook his head. This is going to be dangerous. Commander Velik dismissed them all. As Hyunwoo walked toward the door, the commander called out to him one more time. Hyunwoo, why did you approach the Rakthar in the first place? You saw what everyone else saw. You knew it was dangerous. Why risk your life? Hyunwoo thought about the question. He thought about his grandmother's garden back on Earth. About the injured animals his family always seemed to find and help. About the fear he saw in those golden eyes in Bay 7. Because someone needed to. He finally answered. And because I saw a scared creature that needed help. Not a monster that needed to be killed. On Earth, we learned a long time ago that the line between those two things is thinner than most people think. He left the command center and headed back toward the cargo wing. Back toward Komi, who was probably still scared and confused in a strange place surrounded by strange beings. Back toward a creature that the galaxy said he should fear, but that his human instincts told him to protect. Behind him, the command staff watched him go. Each thinking the same thing. Humans were far stranger and far more dangerous than anyone had initially believed. Not because they were violent or aggressive, but because they could look at an apex predator and see a friend. 2 weeks passed since the incident in Bay 7. Hyunwoo's life had changed completely. His small quarters in the cargo section now connected to a reinforced habitat, where Komi spent most of the time. The habitat was bigger than his own room, filled with platforms and structures that Da-eun had helped him build. Da-eun was the first person to visit after Hyunwoo got settled with Komi. She stood at the habitat entrance, her eyes wide as she watched the Rakthar through the transparent barrier. You're actually living next to that thing? She asked. Her name is Komi, Hyunwoo corrected. He had started thinking of the Rakthar as female, though he wasn't entirely sure about the creature's biology. And she's not a thing. She's smart, watch. He pressed his hand against the barrier. On the other side, Komi approached and pressed her head against the same spot. The rumbling purr started immediately. Da-eun took a step back. That's insane. That's trust, Hyunwoo replied. Come on, I'll introduce you. Absolutely not. But curiosity won over fear. Da-eun was an engineer, and engineers were naturally curious. Over the next few days, she started visiting more often. She never entered the habitat, but she watched. She saw how Hyunwoo moved around Komi without fear, how he read the creature's body language, how Komi responded to his voice and gestures. You really think you can train it? Da-eun asked one evening. Her. Hyunwoo corrected again. And yes. She's already learned basic commands. Watch. Komi, sit. The Rakthar looked at him, tilted her head, and then lowered her hindquarters to the floor. Hyunwoo immediately gave her a piece of synthesized meat from his pouch. Komi took it gently, her sharp teeth never touching his fingers. That's incredible, Da-eun breathed. How long did it take to teach her that? 3 days, Hyunwoo said. She's actually faster at learning than most dogs back on Earth. Ji-ho, the shuttle pilot, was less impressed when he first visited. He stood outside the habitat with his arms crossed, shaking his head. You're going to get yourself killed, he said bluntly. That thing is getting bigger every day. He was right. Komi was growing fast. She was now the size of a large wolf, all muscle and scales and sharp edges. But to Hyunwoo, she was still the scared baby he found in Bay 7. She won't hurt me, Hyunwoo said. You don't know that. Yes, I do. They argued about it, but Ji-ho kept coming back. He started bringing his recording equipment, documenting the daily routines. At first, he said it was for evidence if something went wrong. But Hyunwoo noticed his friend was actually fascinated by what he was seeing. People on the station are talking, Ji-ho said one day while reviewing his footage. Some think you're a genius. Others think you're crazy. What do you think? Hyunwoo asked. Ji-ho was quiet for a moment. I think you're both. But I also think you're doing something nobody else could do. So keep doing it. Just be careful. Dr. Kara visited almost every day. She brought equipment, took measurements, asked endless questions. She studied Komi's behavior, her reactions, her biology. But mostly she studied Hyunwoo. You use a lot of physical contact, she observed one afternoon. Touch seems very important. It is, Hyunwoo agreed. He was brushing Komi's scales with a soft tool Da-eun had fabricated for him. The Rakthar was stretched out on her side, completely relaxed. Humans are social animals. We use touch to bond, to comfort, to communicate. I think Komi responds to that. But Rakthar are solitary, Dr. Kara argued. They don't have pack structures. They don't engage in social bonding. Maybe they do, and we just never gave them the chance, Hyunwoo suggested. You said the handlers were using pain and force to control her. That's not bonding. That's domination. There's a difference, Dr. Kara's multiple eyes blinked thoughtfully. You're suggesting that Rakthar have a capacity for social bonding that we never discovered because we never approached them correctly? I'm suggesting that we don't know everything about them, Hyunwoo said. Maybe we've been wrong this whole time. The scientist pulled out her data pad and started typing furiously. This could change everything about our understanding of predator psychology. Not everyone on the station was happy about the situation. Hyunwoo started noticing the looks. Some aliens avoided him in the corridors. Others whispered when he passed. One day he overheard a conversation between two Velkin workers. Humans are dangerous. They can control predators. What else can they control? Maybe we should be worried about them, not the Rakthar. The words stung, but Hyunwoo understood the fear. He was proving that humans were different in ways the galaxy didn't expect. That was scary for people who valued predictability and safety. The real problem started when Councillor Thex made his opinions public. The old Velkin politician gave a speech in the station's council chambers, and Jiho showed Hyunwoo the recording. Humans represent a potential threat to galactic stability, Thex declared. If they can domesticate Grade 5 predators, what prevents them from weaponizing such creatures? What prevents them from using their abilities for conquest or control? I propose we classify humans as Category 4 potential hazard species and restrict their activities accordingly. The proposal didn't pass, but it sparked debates across the station. Security memos circulated. Some sections started requiring additional clearance for human workers. The atmosphere changed, becoming more tense, more suspicious. This is getting bad, Da-eun said during one of her visits. People are actually afraid of us now. I didn't mean for this to happen, Hyunwoo replied, feeling guilty. It's not your fault, she assured him. You're just showing everyone what humans can do. Some people will always fear what they don't understand. But things got worse. One morning, Commander Velik called Hyunwoo to his office. The Thrin officer looked tired, if crystalline beings could look tired. The council is pressuring me, Velik said without preamble. They want Komi removed from the station. Some are calling for her termination. Hyunwoo felt his heart drop. Why, she hasn't hurt anyone. She's completely under control. There was an incident yesterday, Velik explained. Dr. Kara was conducting observations in the habitat. Komi was playing as you taught her to do, but she jumped unexpectedly and knocked Dr. Kara down. No injuries, but it reminded everyone how strong the creature is. She was just playing, Hyunwoo protested. She didn't mean any harm. I know that, Dr. Kara knows that. But to the council it's proof that Komi is dangerous. They're giving you 1 week to prove otherwise, or they'll override my authority and have her removed. Possibly killed 1 week. 7 days to prove that everything he believed was possible. That understanding could bridge the gap between species. That fear and violence weren't the only answers. Hyunwoo left the commander's office feeling desperate. He found Da-eun and Jiho and explained the situation. They listened quietly, and then Da-eun spoke. What do you need? I need to show the council that Komi is safe, that she can follow commands, that she's not a threat. A demonstration, Jiho said. Like a performance? More like proof, Hyunwoo replied. Proof that humans and predators can work together without violence. That's a big risk, Da-eun said. If something goes wrong during the demonstration, they'll definitely kill her. If I do nothing, they'll kill her anyway, Hyunwoo pointed out. At least this way she has a chance. They spent the next 6 days working non-stop. Hyunwoo intensified Komi's training, teaching her new commands and reinforcing old ones. Da-eun built props and equipment for the demonstration. Jiho documented everything and helped plan the presentation. Dr. Kara visited on the evening before the scheduled demonstration. She looked worried. The council expects you to fail, she said quietly. Councillor Thex has been telling everyone that humans are overconfident and that this will end in disaster. There are bets being placed on whether Komi will attack during the demonstration. That's encouraging, Hyunwoo said sarcastically. But I believe in you, Dr. Kara continued. I've seen what you've accomplished with Comey. I've documented behaviors that shouldn't exist according to our science. Tomorrow you have a chance to change how the entire galaxy thinks about predators and prey, about possible and impossible. No pressure then, Hyunwoo muttered. That night he couldn't sleep. He sat in Comey's habitat, the Rakthar curled up beside him with her head in his lap. She rumbled her contented purr, unaware that tomorrow would decide her fate. I won't let them hurt you, Hyunwoo whispered, scratching behind her ears. I promise. Comey's golden eyes opened and looked up at him. In those eyes Hyunwoo saw complete trust. A creature that should have been his natural enemy trusted him with her life. That trust was both beautiful and terrifying. Tomorrow he would stand in front of the station's leaders and prove that the impossible was real, that a human and a predator could form a bond stronger than instinct or fear. That understanding could overcome any barrier, even the one between species that should have been mortal enemies. He just hoped he was right. The observation arena felt enormous and empty when Hyunwoo first walked in. He had seen it before from the outside. A large circular space used for testing equipment and training security personnel. Today it would be a stage for something the galaxy had never witnessed. The viewing areas filled quickly. Council members took their seats in the protected observation boxes high above the arena floor. Scientists clustered together, data pads ready to record everything. Security teams positioned themselves at every entrance, weapons clearly visible. Hundreds more watched through live video feeds across the station. Hyunwoo stood in the center of the arena floor and tried not to think about all those eyes watching him. He wore simple work clothes, nothing special. His only equipment was a pouch of treats attached to his belt and a reinforced lid clipped to his pocket. Dayun's voice crackled through his earpiece. You ready? No, he admitted quietly. But let's do this anyway. You've got this, Jiho added. We've seen you work with her for weeks. You know what you're doing. The massive doors on the opposite side of the arena began to open. Hyunwoo took a deep breath. Through the opening, he could see Comey in her transport cage. The Rakthar looked nervous, her ears flat against her skull, her tail low. Remember, Dr. Kara's voice joined the others in his earpiece. Stay calm. She picks up on your emotions. Hyunwoo nodded even though the scientist couldn't see him. He focused on keeping his heartbeat steady, his breathing even. He thought calm thoughts, peaceful thoughts. Comey needed that from him right now. The cage doors opened. Comey didn't move at first, just stared out at the huge open space and all the lights. Then she saw Hyunwoo. Her ears lifted slightly. She took one tentative step forward, then another. Comey, Hyunwoo called, his voice steady. Come. The Rakthar crossed the arena floor at a trot, her claws clicking on the hard surface. She went straight to Hyunwoo and pressed against his leg, seeking comfort. He reached down and scratched behind her ears, feeling her relax under his touch. Good girl, he murmured. Then louder for the watching crowd. We'll start with basic commands. Comey, sit. The Rakthar sat immediately. Hyunwoo gave her a treat, which she took gently from his hand. Gasps echoed from the viewing areas. That level of control, that immediate obedience from a grade 5 predator, went against everything they knew. Stay, Hyunwoo commanded, and backed away from Comey. 5 steps, 10 steps, 20 steps. Comey remained sitting, though her eyes never left him. Around the arena, he could hear whispers of disbelief. Come, he called. Comey bounded across the distance between them and stopped precisely at his side, sitting without being told. More gasps, more whispers. Hyunwoo continued through the demonstration. He showed how Comey could walk beside him without a leash, matching his pace perfectly. He demonstrated her ability to respond to hand signals even without voice commands. He showed how she could be called away from moving objects that would normally trigger her hunting instincts. For the next part, Da-un entered the arena. Comey tensed watching this new person approach. Her body language shifted slightly toward defensive. Comey, gentle, Hyunwoo said firmly. The Rakthar relaxed. Diane approached slowly, following the instructions Hyunwoo had given her. She held out her hand, letting Comey sniff. After a moment, Comey pressed her head against Da-un's palm. She's soft, Da-un said, surprised. I always thought the scales would feel rough. Only when they need to be, Hyunwoo replied. He looked up at the viewing boxes. Comey has learned to recognize friends from threats. She understands that not every new person is an enemy. Da-Yun left the arena, and Ji-Ho entered next. Then one of the Velkin maintenance workers who had volunteered to help. Each time, Komi approached carefully but without aggression. Each time she responded to Hyunwoo's commands to be gentle, to be calm, but the real test came next. Security Chief Boren himself entered the arena, wearing full armor and carrying a weapon. Komi's reaction was immediate. Her ears flattened, her lips pulled back, showing teeth. A low growl started in her chest. "Komi, easy," Hyunwoo said, his voice calm but firm. "He's not a threat, easy." The Rakthar looked between Hyunwoo and Boren, clearly conflicted. Her instincts screamed danger. The armor, the weapon, the aggressive posture of the Kroloth warrior all triggered her defensive responses. "Komi, come," Hyunwoo commanded. She hesitated. The growl continued. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. The moment where instinct would overcome training, where the predator would remember what it truly was. "Komi," Hyunwoo repeated. "Softer now. Trust me, come." The Rakthar took one step toward Hyunwoo, then another. The growl faded. She crossed the distance between them and pressed against his leg, still watching Boren but no longer threatening. "Good girl," Hyunwoo said, relief flooding through him. He looked at Boren and nodded. The security chief approached slowly, carefully. When he was close enough, he extended one large hand. Komi sniffed it, tensed. Then, with Hyunwoo's gentle encouragement, allowed the Kroloth warrior to touch her head. "Remarkable," Boren said quietly. "I've trained security animals for decades, and I've never seen anything like this." For the final demonstration, Hyunwoo did something that made even his friends gasp. He removed Komi's collar completely. No lead, no restraint. Nothing to control her except his voice and the bond they had built. "This is madness," someone in the viewing area said loudly. Counselor Thex's voice. Hyunwoo ignored him. He walked away from Komi, putting distance between them. He walked until he was on the opposite side of the arena. Then he did something that went against every survival instinct. He turned his back on the predator. The arena went completely silent. Hyunwoo could feel Komi's eyes on his back. He could imagine her deciding what to do. Every person watching held their breath, waiting for the inevitable attack. "Komi, come," Hyunwoo called without turning around. He heard her claws on the floor. Running, fast, coming toward him while his back was turned, while he was completely vulnerable. This was the moment that would prove everything or end in disaster. Komi reached him and stopped precisely at his side. She sat down and looked up at him, waiting for her treat. Hyunwoo turned around, trying to keep his hands from shaking. He gave Komi her reward and scratched behind her ears while the arena erupted in sound. Applause from some viewers. Shocked exclamations from others. Arguments breaking out in the observation boxes. Commander Velik's voice boomed through the arena's speakers. Demonstration complete. Council will deliberate and vote. Hyunwoo walked out of the arena with Komi at his side, not on a lead, just walking together like old friends. Da-Yun and Ji-Ho met them at the exit, both looking stunned. "That was insane," Ji-Ho said. "That was incredible," Da-Yun corrected. "You actually did it." But they wouldn't know if it was enough until the council voted. They waited in a small room near the arena while the council deliberated. Dr. Kara joined them, her multiple eyes bright with excitement. "I've already received 12 requests from research institutions wanting to study your methods," she said. "What you showed in there contradicts decades of established predator psychology. Does that mean the council will let Komi live?" Hyunwoo asked. "I don't know," Dr. Kara admitted. "Science and politics don't always agree." An hour passed, then 2. Finally, Commander Velik entered the room. "The council has reached a decision," he said. His crystalline face revealed nothing. Counselor Thex argued strongly for Komi's termination. He believes the demonstration proves that humans are dangerous and unpredictable, capable of controlling weapons that should never be controlled. Hyunwoo's heart sank. However, Velik continued, the majority of the council disagreed. They witnessed proof that our understanding of predator behavior was incomplete. They saw potential for new approaches to dangerous fauna management. They voted to allow you to retain custody of Komi. Relief washed over Hyunwoo like a wave. "Thank you. There are conditions," Velik added. "New protocols are being drafted. Humans who work with potentially dangerous fauna must undergo certification. You will be the first to receive what we're calling a predator bonding license. This will become standard for anyone attempting similar work." I accept any conditions, Hyunwoo said quickly. Velik's expression softened slightly. You've done something today that will change how the galaxy views interspecies relations. Perhaps how we view humanity as well. You've proven that understanding can bridge gaps we thought were impossible to cross. I just helped a scared animal, Hyunwoo replied. You did much more than that, Dr. Kara said. You challenged our assumptions about what's possible. You showed us that predator and prey are sometimes just labels we put on things without truly understanding them. That evening, Hyunwoo sat in Komi's habitat like he did every night. The Rakthar was tired from the day's stress and lay with her head in his lap, rumbling her contented purr. We did it, he told her softly. You get to stay. Komi's golden eyes opened briefly, looked at him with complete trust, then closed again. Outside the habitat, Hyunwoo could see Da-eun and Ji-ho watching through the transparent barrier. Beyond them, the rest of the station continued its daily life. But something had changed. A barrier had been crossed. A door had been opened to possibilities nobody had imagined before. And it all started because a human looked at a frightened creature and chose compassion over fear.